want you at some point to place your email address in the in the chat room so that any documents that need to be addressed to me are sent to you first, and then we can both be on the same page.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, so for the record, this is position 41 on my calendar, state of Georgia versus Stephanie Howell. And Ms. Howell is charged in warrant number 2022 CW 54744 with committing the offense of aggravated assault. Discharged in warrant number 2022 CW 54745 with committing the offense of family violence battery. She's also charged in warrant number 22 CW 54746. That doesn't list on my calendar what the charge is.
It's cruelty to children in the first degree.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cruelty to children in the first degree, which is a felony. She's charged with warrant number 2022 CW 54747 with committing the offense of false imprisonment. And she's charged in warrant number 2022 CW 54748 with committing the offense of aggravated battery. At the jail, could we bring up Miss Stephanie Howell? And as I understand it,
Yes, sir. I'll bring it up right now.
Thank you. As I understand it, Ms. Freeman, we're dealing with issue of bond.
That's correct, Judge. Again,
Okay.
I've already forwarded Attorney Banks the waiver. And so as soon as he sends that back to me, I'll forward it to Your Honor.
Okay.
I will get that executed in short order, Judge. I'm waiting for it to print off.
No, and that's fine. And Mr. Banks, because this is an issue dealing with bond, you're going to be the first to go forward as it relates to your request for bond for your client.
Okay. I think she's up, Judge, and whenever the
Yes.
court.
Yes, I'm ready. Miss Howell, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
So, ma'am, we're here dealing right now with the issue of bond. There's already been a matter that has been worked out between your lawyer and the state as it relates to the charges in the case moving forward. Now we're dealing with the issue of what bond amount, if any, is appropriate in your case. Okay, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Banks.
Good morning, Judge Gabe Banks on behalf of Stephanie Howe. It's good to see you, Your Honor. Before I address the four IALA factors, I would just say as a threshold matter that this is not a rebuttable presumption case whereby there's a presumption that no condition or combination of conditions could satisfy that she would return to court and or that she's a danger to the community. I would also say that just generally in 1966, the Bail Reform Act was passed. It has been amended on many occasions. And it has been cited approvingly by the Supreme Court of the United States. And it has a liberal policy in favor of pretrial release.
And that's a Stack versus Boyle case.
Yeah, the Bell versus Wofish, and
Okay.
Static versus, yes. And so here we have Miss Howe. She's 40 years old, Judge. She was born and raised in Georgia. She attended high school in Georgia. She graduated in 2006. In 2008, she obtained an associate's degree in criminal justice. Her mother and father and all of her 5 siblings live in the Jonesboro area and have lived in the Jonesboro area all their lives, as has Miss Howe. She has not resided outside of the state of Georgia as long as she's been living her 40 years. She is married She has 4 children, 2 of whom are adults. She has a 23-year-old and a 22-year-old. She has 2 other children. They're 4 and 6, and they're school-age children, with the exception of the 4-year-old, who's kind of like in the preschool phase. Her husband, Calvin Williams, has resided here in Georgia all his life. He is actually an investor in real estate. She helps him from time to time with his real estate business, but she primarily does seasonal taxes as a preparer, and she also has a gift shop that she has gifts where she prepares for resale. Judge, she has substantial ties to this community. I have forwarded this court, I believe I forwarded them to Ms. Wesley, letters of support on her behalf. By my count, there were approximately 7 letters of support. One from her church, which is notable, Judge. The pastor there at the church says that she's a member of that church and has been a member of that church for many, many years. She's well respected in the community. She deals with children there at the church, and ultimately she walks with integrity, and they acknowledge the charges, Judge. All of these letters acknowledge the charges and really say and speak to the notion that the charges are inconsistent with who they know her to be. The second letter of support, which is based in number 2, this is from actually Joseph Williams. Joseph Williams apparently is not any kin of Mrs. Howe, but at some point she took him in, raised him as if he was her own, and gave him every opportunity to succeed in life. And he just speaks to who she is as a person. And so, Judge, all of these letters of support, frankly, reveal the true essence of who she is as a person, that she's dependable, that she's reliable, and that the charges are inconsistent with who she is. So she has substantial ties in the community. She has letters of support. And while they're no longer on the Zoom call, Judge, frankly, there were family members that were here in support of her. They are trying to watch it live via YouTube now. And so I can assure you that she has substantial ties to this community, and there's no risk that she would be a flight risk in this case. Concerning whether she's at risk of committing other felonies, Judge, she is not a felon. She is not on probation or parole. And ultimately, if you look at all of her past conduct, with the exception of a few minor brushes of misdemeanors with respect to law enforcement, the reality is that she's not a felon, and there's no risk of her committing any additional felonies while out on bond. And her past performance is really a true indicator of whether or not she would comply with this court's terms and conditions if imposed. She is not a danger to the community, Judge. Look, I understand that the nature of the charges are serious, and we don't dispute that. But the fact that the nature of the charges, as she sits before Your Honor, she is presumed innocent at this point in time, as Your Honor well knows. And at the end of the day, there are no other allegations outside of the nature of the charges that will reflect that she's a danger to the community. In fact, she cooperated with law enforcement. She made statements to law enforcement, and she cooperated with their investigation. We just vehemently denied the charges. Judge, there is no indication that she is at risk of intimidating any of the victim and or witnesses in this case. Right now, the victim, the alleged victim, I should say, she's no longer in the home. She's not related to my client. My client essentially took her in, as she does many of the youth in the community who need help and support. And ultimately, DFACS came and got the child. And so the victim is no longer present at her residence, and frankly, there's no need for my client to have any contact with the alleged victim. My understanding as well is that this is not the first time that the victim has accused someone of sexual assault. And so I would just submit that while these charges are serious, My client has no history of abusing children, and all of the letters of support reflect that she actually embraces them. She tries to help them along the way, and that's what she was trying to do with this child. Judge, I would ask for reasonable bond in this case, notwithstanding the serious nature of the charges. I think that a bond of no greater than $50,000 would be sufficient. It would reasonably assure that she appears in court, and then ultimately it would ensure that she complies with this court's orders. Unless the court has any other questions, Judge, I'm happy to pass it to Ms. Freeman.
No, I'll hear from Ms. Freeman.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a case that Attorney Banks and I had spoken about, and I told him that given the allegations that I cannot consent to a bond, and I know Your Honor has a copy of the warrants, and I understand the letters of support that was submitted. Of course, these are not people who were here for me to question them, to really, I guess, question them about how well they actually know Ms. Howell. But be that as it may, the allegations are extremely serious. Our victim is an 8-year-old girl. It's alleged that Ms. Howell placed a hot towel on her vagina and her anus to the point where it started to bleed. We're looking at the report when the child was taken to Spalding Children's Hospital. When the social worker went into the room, she observed that the juvenile's face was swollen. It had bruises on it. There were burn marks on her forehead. Her face was so badly swollen that her eyes were swollen shut. Judge, these are extremely serious allegations. I don't know Ms. Howell either, but I do know that based on these allegations, and the victim has indicated that Ms. Howell is the person who caused these, that we believe that she should stay on no bond status. Attorney Banks is correct. She does not have any felony convictions in her GCIC. But the serious nature of it, and the fact that if all of the people who submitted the letters in support of her, if they're saying that this is out of character for her, well, something happened, whether she snapped or whatever it may be. And certainly we're not here to, this is not the trial, but these are the allegations that the victim has indicated that Ms. Howell caused these injuries to her. And so if the court is inclined to grant a bond, we would ask for a total bond of no less than $100,000. We would also ask that there be a condition that she not be in the presence of any minor children without any kind of adult supervision. I don't know her, I guess her day-to-day activities, or if she comes into contact with minor children. I know this victim has been removed, but I don't know if there are other children who live in the residence with her. But we would ask that she not be allowed to be around those individuals unless there is adult supervision. And of course, a stay away order from the victim.
For a point of clarity, Judge, if I may, her children who resided with her are now staying, I believe, with their grandmother, and so are no longer in the home as well. And so to the extent that the court is concerned about her being around minor children, although her minor children haven't raised any issues, nor has her husband, who lives in the home with her. That said, those minor children are living with a grandmother at this point in time. Judge, I understand again that these allegations are very serious. We take them very serious. She's hired counsel and she is going to defend against these charges. The issue at this point is whether, one, she will return to court, and there's no indication that she will not, in light of the fact that she's hired counsel, and whether or not this court can impose some conditions or combination of conditions to reasonably ensure that she's not a danger to the community. The court can do all of those things, Judge, by stay away orders, by making sure that there are no minor children in the home, and that she not visit with her own biological children who are minors without adult supervision. So, I mean, this is why the Bail Reform Act has a liberal policy. And I would submit that bond is appropriate in light of the fact that she has a lack of criminal history. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. And the reason I noted the Stack versus Boral case is because I think it has it says pretrial detention is limited. It should be limited. And the norm should be a person having a bond. These charges are serious. They're very serious. And I think what I'm inclined to do, well, I'll state the number. I think it'll be a total bond of $75,000. And that's $15,000 for each count. As it relates to conditions, stay away condition as it relates to the alleged victim in this case. I haven't heard anything about any allegations against her children. So I'm not gonna place a condition for her to stay away from her children, but I will place a condition to stay away from any children that are not her biological children.
Hey, let's move on.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so she'll have a bond, she'll have those conditions. And I think they're narrowly tailored to meet the demands of this case. I'll start with Ms. Freeman. Do you think that I've missed anything?
No, Judge, I think you've covered everything. Now, will Your Honor be preparing an order, or do you need my office or Attorney Banks?
Well, let's have Mr. Banks do it.
Okay.
Send it to you, and you can use the same email stream that you used yesterday.
Okay.
To send it out and just make sure that Ms. Freeman is copied on it.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then we can go from there.
Okay.
Right, thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
May
Mr.
I be
Banks,
excused?
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Miss. Yes, ma'am.
Forward me the waiver also.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to do that before I go to my next appointment.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you. You're free to go. And Ms. Howell can be released to go back. Stay in contact with your lawyer.
And I do see there is a family member that's still on, Deontay Howell. And he or she can certainly log off as well.
Okay. I'll tell her to do that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so now we get to the heart of the matter, hopefully. We're still on YouTube. For the record, today is November 7th, 2022. My name is Brad Gardner. I'm presiding judge over this morning's preliminary hearing count. Miss Howell is free to go back at the jail.
He said I'm free to go.
All right, come on.
Okay, so I'm gonna start. I'm gonna call a calendar, and when you hear your client's name, please make the appropriate announcement. Position 1, Darian Ballard.
That's the consent bond this morning.
Thank you. Position
The jail mute themselves.
I'll mute him. Oh, thank you.
Who do you need, Judge?
I'm sorry, sir.
Did you need someone?
No, I'm calling the calendar now. I just need you all to be muted because there's some background
Okay.
noise.
Hold on.
Well, I can do it. I can do it from here. Position 2, State of Georgia versus.
Yana,
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
this is the jail. We got some inmates down here that's non-compliance. That's the noise that you're hearing. And they banging and hollering on the doors.
so we probably have to send them back.
Okay, let me call a calendar. I'm gonna mute you guys. Let me call a calendar and then we'll address each person individually. Thank you. Position 2, State of Georgia versus Tyquarius Bell.
State's ready.
Ms. Pleasant, Ms. Rogers.
Your Honor, good morning, Patrice Davis, Stanley Schoolcraft is assigned to that case.
Okay.
Just, Mr. Schoolcraft did, he sent an email. I have to go back through and find when, I think he sent it over the weekend. It was a conflict letter. I thought he had copied the judicial assistants on there. But I'll go through and try to find the email that he sent.
Okay. And that was going to be my question, was whether he had been in contact with you, Ms. Freeman.
Yeah.
So we'll circle back to that. Okay. Position 8, State of Georgia versus Antoine Clark.
State's ready.
And that's my case, Sean. I'm having some technical difficulties this morning, but waiting to hear back from the state about a proposed resolution. If not, it'll probably be a hearing.
Okay, so I'll mark it as it's a whole.
And Judge, I just forwarded you the email from Attorney Schoolcraft.
Thank you. Position 10, State of Georgia versus Ronald Curry.
State's ready.
Honor, Attorney Schoolcraft is assigned to that case also.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Davis. Position 13, State of Georgia versus Corey Dillard.
There you go, Judge.
The state's ready.
Your Honor, Mr. Dillard advised that he hired Attorney Shannon Render. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
So far, so good, Judge.
Last time,
I'll send Attorney Render the link.
okay.
See if he,
I'm sorry, Ms. Freeman, I cut you off. Go ahead.
oh, that's okay. I just forwarded him the link.
Okay. Galaxy S9, would you please turn your camera on and identify yourself?
Do not say Abraham, he would cry.
In your crab, you go to Abraham.
I want to set the record straight. Joe did have that email. He's the only one on the list.
So they did get it.
So he did get it. He just
Everybody
wasn't
did
sure he
get
got it. So they did.
Galaxy S9, would you please turn your camera on and identify yourself?
Detective Moore, I believe. Detective? Detective Moore, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we need you to mute yourself and the judge had asked you.
Okay.
Yes,
I apologize, ma'am.
thank you.
Okay, I'm going to rename that as Detective Moore. Position 16, State of Georgia versus Charles Gray.
The state's ready.
Your Honor, Stanley Schoolcraft is also assigned to this case.
Oh my goodness. So Ms. Davis, are you telling me we're not gonna get anything done today? Ms. Davis?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
I said, are you telling me we're not gonna get anything done today?
We are going to get work done. The public defender's office has work to do, sir.
Yes.
Great answer, Ms. Davis.
Position 28, State of Georgia versus Deontay Guffey.
The state's ready.
Judge, this is Kevin Herrick. I'm the attorney for Mr. Guffey. And we'd have a hearing this morning, but I would like to take an opportunity to talk to the state prior to that, see if we might have some common ground or something.
Okay, so I'll make a notation that you want to speak to the state.
Yes, Judge, thank you.
All right. Position 32, State of Georgia versus Jair Gutierrez.
The state's ready.
And we may be able to work out a bond on that one. Yeah, I just need to finish up with the state.
Okay. Position 36, State of Georgia versus Brianna Hawkins.
The state's ready.
And Your Honor, I need to speak briefly with my client, and then I can update the court.
Okay, so I'll hold for your report. Position 37, State of Georgia versus David Hill.
That was a consent bond previously done.
Thank you. And we dealt with position 41, Stephanie Howell. Position 46, State of Georgia versus DeAndre Johnson.
That defendant is still on loan with the feds.
Okay. Position 41, State of Georgia versus Jalen Jones.
State's ready.
Your Honor, there's a Arnold Ragas assigned to that case. He's a convict attorney. Arnold Ragas, R-A-G-A-S.
R-A-D.
R-A-G-A-S.
A-S.
Arnold.
Thank you.
Judge, this is Kevin Herrick. I work with Mr. Regas. We're in the same office at the central office of the Georgia Public Defender Council. So if I can speak to that person, that defendant, then I'll try and help the court with that this morning.
Thank you.
If you could tell me once again the name of that person.
Last name is Jones, J-O-N-E-S. First name Jalen, J-A-Y-L-A-N. And his warrant numbers are 2022 CW 51 205 51206 and 51207. Well, and finally, I'm sorry, 51208.
Thank you, Judge. If we could hold that, I will try to talk to the state about that and give me some time to do a little bit of document finding.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Position 51, State of Georgia versus Derek Lundy.
The state's ready.
And yeah, I'm still waiting to hear back from the state on that one. It did not seem like it was gonna be a hearing at last check though, but so I'll leave it there.
So, Mr. Rogers, do you want to speak to the state or your client?
Yes, sir. I need to speak to the state. That's mainly who I'm waiting to hear back from on a few cases.
Okay. Position 58, State of Georgia versus Bo Mosley.
The state's ready.
Your Honor, this-
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say Kerry Thompson is assigned to that case.
Wait, I'm gonna come to you, Mr. Herrick, but Miss Davis, you said who was assigned to that case?
Kerry, Keri Thompson is assigned. She's also a conflict attorney.
Okay, and Mr. Herrick, what was your announcement?
my understanding is that I was representing Mr. Mosley on behalf of Mr. Regis. So if there's not an entry in that case by my office, or if Kerry Thompson, you say, is not on the call, if we could hold that, and I'll check into that.
And Attorney Eric, I will say, and I have to look to see because Bo Mosley, Jalen Jones, and there was the other individual. So a lot of these cases with the incidents in the jail, some of them are co-defendants with each other. We've had these cases for a while, and so I just have to look to see, just to make sure there won't be a conflict.
And I appreciate any help you can give me on that. So maybe we'll discuss that and kind of sort these out and figure out what we can handle today.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Position 63, State of Georgia versus Ja Terrell Murphy.
The state's ready.
And he's with Mr. Schoolcraft also.
Okay.
And just so you know, on John Terrell Murphy, because that case has been continued several times, the co-defendant with John T. Murphy is represented by Dennis Shy. We did that hearing about a week or so. And Detective Moore, who is on the call, she is on that case.
Okay. Okay. Position 65, State of Georgia versus gonna say Ivan Pena Alejo.
The state's ready, and Judge, that defendant is represented by Calpin Shaw. He sent me a text message this morning, and he said he was walking up now, and I sent him a message. I said we were via Zoom, and so I don't know if he has the link. Let me see.
He definitely doesn't have a link because it's showing that the public defender's office is the attorney for Mr. Pena.
Okay.
Excuse me, Judge, the attorney for Mr. Aline, is it Alino Pena?
Yes.
He just the receptionist just gave him the Zoom link, so he should be signing on shortly. He's in the clerk's office now.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Wesley.
You're welcome.
All right, so I'm gonna hold for when he comes on. Position 69, State of Georgia versus Antonio Reeves.
The state's ready.
Your Honor, this is Kevin Herrick. I believe that case is mine, and I'll make the same announcement as before. We'd be ready for a hearing, but I would like to talk to the state first to see if there's an alternate resolution.
Okay. Position 72, State of Georgia versus Aston Reynolds.
The state's ready.
I need to hold on that one. I'll see if we can possibly work out a bond on it.
Okay. So I didn't get the first part of your statement, Mr. Rogers.
I was saying we need to hold on that one to see if we can get a bond worked out.
Okay. Position 75, State of Georgia versus Larry Robinson.
The state's ready.
Good morning, Judge. I'm Rhonda Hill for Mr. Robinson. That may be a hearing, but I'd like to pre-try that case with my client.
Okay, you want to speak to your client?
Yes.
Thank you. And it's good to see you, Ms. Hill.
You too, Judge Gardner.
Position 77, State of Georgia versus Norris Turner.
State's ready, and that's a co-defendant to Corey Dillard on a murder case. And I will say, I heard back from Attorney Render. He stated that he does not represent Corey Dillard.
Okay. Ms. Davis, do we know who represents Mr. Turner?
Mr. Schoolcraft does, Your Honor.
Okay.
And Judge, there's a third co-defendant on that case, Marquise Willis. And Marquise Willis is represented by Brandon Lewis. And he is actually, I think, in front of Judge Scott and Judge Mack. He sent me a text this morning, and he indicated that he should be able to log on around 10.
Okay.
And Attorney Render is going to double check with his staff to see about Corey Dillard.
Thank you. Position 80, State of Georgia versus Cherie Wallace.
State's ready.
Rhonda Hill for Ms. Wallace. I'd like to pre-try that with Ms. Wallace, but I believe we're going to be able to work something out.
Okay. Position 83, State of Georgia versus Jamarion White.
State's ready.
Your Honor, I'm seeing that Kamisha Benz assigned to that case. Kamisha Benz.
B-E-N-D-S?
B-I-N-N, B-I-N-N-S.
B-I-N-N, you said I-S?
B-I-N-N-S.
S.
And Judge, he's part of the multi-co-defendant case with an incident in the jail, and it's been continued several times also.
Your Honor, he also refused court today.
Okay, all right.
Okay, well, we'll call that case, and it looks like it'll be an administrative bind over. In person and show for court. I wish the sheriff's department would stop doing this with incidents that happen in the jail. When I was practicing, we would call them free word charges. It's a whole lot of administrative stuff you can do. Position 87, State of Georgia versus Fraser Wiggins.
The state's ready.
Your Honor, this is Kevin Herrick again. I believe that one is my case. And the same announcement, I'd like to talk with the state, see if there's a alternate resolution, see if what conflicts, if any, exist.
Okay.
Right, and I will say that Wiggins is a co-defendant to Antonio Reeves.
Okay.
And I think Attorney Herrick, you indicated you represented Antonio Reeves.
Yes. I don't have a copy of the calendar. I'm sure one was sent, but I don't have it. If you could forward that to me, then I can look at the case numbers and cross-index with our system to make sure that there's not more than one case that we're talking about for each person.
Okay.
But for Antonio Reeves, we had a James Luttrell that turned up for court for him. James Luttrell. So I'm not sure if you work in the same office with him, Mr. Eric.
No, I don't. But I'll check on that. Luttrell.
Okay.
And Mr. Reeves, just so you know, these are the warrant numbers. I'm sorry, Mr. Herrick. These are the warrant numbers for Mr. Reeves. 2022 WA 13444. That's for aggravated assault. 2022 WA 13445 is for false imprisonment, and WA 2022 WA 13446 is for battery.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And looks like finally Marquise Willis, and this is a co-defendant case, Ms. Freeman.
Yes, Corey Dillard and Norris Turner, the murder case. And Brandon Lewis represents that defendant.
Okay. So that completes the call of